At the 70th birthday party of her husband, he choked up and said, "When I was 20, I missed out on someone. She is my wife, but I let her drift away from me, becoming a regret for half a century." After saying this, he pulled out a marriage certificate from his pocket. Clearly written on it were his name and that of another woman. At that moment, someone from the audience stepped up, arms wide open towards him. The two silver-haired individuals embraced tightly, sharing a kiss in front of everyone. That kiss was dubbed the kiss of the century. I stepped forward in anger, but my son held me back. "Mom, I intentionally invited Aunt Lily here just to give Dad a surprise joy. Dad has dedicated his whole life to his career. Fulfilling his love's regret is the reward he truly deserves." Dad has dedicated his whole life to his career. Fulfilling his love's regret is the reward he truly deserves. My dearest grandson also chimed in. "Grandma, please don't embarrass yourself anymore. You stepping up only makes others think you're grandpa's nanny." "Grandma, please don't embarrass yourself anymore. You stepping up only makes others think you're grandpa's nanny." Hannah Phuong, a rural woman, was reborn in 1974 after dying tragically from discovering that her husband, Victor Tam, and his family had exploited her for 50 years. In her previous life, she had resigned herself to being an unpaid nanny, sacrificing her youth, health, and dreams for Victor Tam to succeed. Yet he always longed for his first love, Vanessa Ta, and even deceived her about the marriage certificate. In this life, Phuong awakened and was determined to change her fate. She discovered that Victor Tam and Vanessa Ta were also reborn, carrying their selfish schemes and intentions to exploit her. However, Phuong was no longer the illiterate rural woman who would endure. She had learned to read, gained knowledge, and was determined to take charge of her own life. Phuong refused the arranged marriage with Victor Tam, despite her family's objections. She utilized the knowledge from her past life to improve farming tools, was invited to work in a machinery factory, and gradually established her position. She not only earned money to support herself, but also helped her community. Meanwhile, Victor Tam and Vanessa Ta continued to try to exploit Phuong and her family, but they failed each time. Although Victor Tam and Vanessa Ta eventually married and went to university, their lives were far from happy. Vanessa Ta left Victor Tam and their child, forcing him to drop out, become disabled, and live in misery. When Victor Tam wanted to return to Phuong, begging her to take care of him and their child, Phuong flatly refused. She understood that the best revenge was not to punish them, but to live a happy, free, and successful life without them. She broke free from societal constraints and prejudices, building a meaningful and fulfilling life on her own. At the 70th birthday party of her husband, he choked up and said, "When I was 20, I missed out on someone. She is my wife, but I kept her at a distance, becoming a regret for half a century." After saying this, he took out a marriage certificate from his pocket. Clearly written on it were his name and that of another woman. At that moment, someone from the audience stepped up, arms wide open for him. The two silver-haired individuals embraced, sharing a kiss in front of everyone. That kiss was dubbed the kiss of the century. I angrily stepped forward, but my son held me back. "Mom, I intentionally invited Aunt Lily over just to give Dad a surprise. He has dedicated his whole life to his career. Fulfilling his love's regret is a reward he truly deserves." He has dedicated his whole life to his career. Fulfilling his love's regret is a reward he truly deserves. My beloved grandson also chimed in. "Grandma, don't embarrass yourself anymore. You standing there only makes others think you're grandpa's nanny." My anger flared up, my blood pressure skyrocketed, and I nearly fainted. I could only watch helplessly as my husband held another woman's hand and walked away. Suddenly, the chandelier from the ceiling fell. My reflexes kicked in, and I rushed to shield him. I was struck by the falling light and died on the spot. When I opened my eyes again, I found myself back in 1974. My husband had also been reborn. Content not provided. Sister Hannah, your fair fiancé, just carried the fainted intellectual girl home. Hurry back and see. A young girl rushed over with the news. Upon hearing that, I immediately realized I had come back to life. Looking down on my tattered cloth shoes and muddy feet, I held my shoes and ran barefoot home. Before I even stepped through the door, I heard the familiar voice of my fiancée, Vanessa Ta. "Vanessa, how are you feeling now? We're back. This time, We will definitely live better than in our past life. Vanessa Ta cried softly. Why do we come back at this time? Can it be a few years later? I'm really scared of this period. Can it be a few years later? I'm really scared of this period. I'm really scared of this period. Vanessa Ta comforted her. Don't be afraid, Vanessa. This time I will hold your hand tightly and never let you go again. I won't let you suffer. Vanessa Ta hesitated. Then what about Hannah Phuong? Will you still marry her? Vanessa Ta firmly replied. In this life, my wife can only be you. I burst into laughter. It turned out everyone had been reborn. I rushed into the house and slapped both of them across the face. Are you even ashamed? Daring to cuddle in my house. Vanessa Ta and Vanessa Ta were stunned. Vanessa Ta angrily shouted. Hannah Phuong, what nonsense are you talking about? I slapped him again, mud from my hands splattering onto both their faces, causing Vanessa Ta to scream. What's this? So dirty. I looked down at them from above, warning them not to play tricks in my house. Both of them turned beet red with anger. I returned to the foot of the mountain to continue making bricks from the earth, stacking each brick full of soil in preparation to build a wedding house. Vanessa Ta's father had saved my parents' lives. Vanessa Ta's father had saved my parents' lives. After the Vanessa family encountered trouble, they used their last connection to arrange for Vanessa Ta to go to the countryside, to our village. To protect him, his father begged my family to become in-laws. At this time, my family was poor, but had the best status. In my past life, after marrying Vanessa Ta, my whole family worked hard to earn points just to support him in his studies. After 7 years of working, he finally brought me to the city. He became a prestigious professor praised by everyone. As for me, I was just an illiterate rural woman. He did not abandon me after moving to the city. My family was grateful and regarded him as a god. I gave birth, raised children, and took care of him meticulously. I served as elderly grandparents. I thought that after 50 years together, we were a model couple. Little did I know, I was just a free nanny. The one he loved from beginning to end was only Vanessa Ta. Thinking of this, my grip tightened, and I pressed the bricks harder. This house, he had no right to live in. I was the one who should be here. Unexpectedly, Vanessa Ta brought Vanessa Ta to my house for a meal. My dad frowned, lightly tapping his pipe, and said to my mom, cook some more rice, stir-fry some green beans. Vanessa Ta casually said to my dad, Uncle, I know this is a difficult topic, but today, Vanessa fainted while working. She hasn't been able to rest well and wants to move in with us. Could you arrange a room for her? Vanessa Ta shyly said, Ve Quoc, it's really not necessary to trouble you like this. There's someone snoring too loudly over there. I can't sleep, but maybe I'll get used to it in a while. I can endure it a bit longer. Vanessa Ta frowned. Snoring is a habit. It can't be changed. Hannah Phuong, you handle this. He ordered me again, just like in the past life. I almost reflexively nodded in agreement. But looking at the patchy yellow earthen wall in front of me, I suddenly realized that this time I didn't have to listen to him anymore. I firmly said, Brother Ve Quoc, my family is poor. You can see that the rooms are both small and leaking. My 2 older brothers have to squeeze into one room. It was already very difficult to let you stay here. But looking at the patchy, yellow earthen wall in front of me, I suddenly realized that this time I didn't have to listen to him anymore. I firmly said, Brother Ve Quoc, my family is poor. You can see that the rooms are both small and leaking. My 2 older brothers have to squeeze into one room. It was already very difficult to let you stay here. Vanessa Ta immediately frowned at me. My dad lightly tapped me with the pipe. Why are you talking to Brother Ve Quoc like that? Has Brother Ve Quoc ever complained about our poor house? A small house is fine. We can squeeze a bit. You 2 can sleep in the same room. I protested, but I snore too. I'll disturb her. Tears streamed down Vanessa Ta's face. Forget it, Uncle. I'm sorry for the trouble. I'll just go back to my old place. Vanessa Ta seriously observed my house and suddenly pointed to the attic where the firewood was stored. Hannah Phuong, you can move up there. Let Vanessa have your room. I stared in disbelief, and even my dad was surprised and glanced at him. But then my dad immediately nodded in agreement. All right, later I'll help you and your mom tidy up the attic. Hannah Phuong, you go move up there. I angrily stood up. Dad, are you making me sleep in the pigsty? My dad took a puff from his pipe and calmly replied, Then how about I and your mom sleep up there? In the end, I was still forced to give up my room, because in this house, I was the lowest. Anyone could order me around, command me. When they were unhappy, They could even hit and scold me. Now, I had no strength to resist. Smelling the foul odor of pig manure rising from the attic, hearing the pigs grunting below, I felt lost. After being reborn, Vanessa Ta still carried the arrogance of his past life. He was used to commanding me and my family. Even though he didn't want to marry me, he still wanted to rely on my family to live comfortably. In my past life, at least he had the decency to hide the fact that he used my family's resources to support Vanessa Ta. In this life, he brazenly brought her into my home. Now, it was 1974, and there were still 2 years until the college entrance examination would resume. During these 2 years, I not only had to support Vanessa Ta, but also his mistress. I was unwilling. I found an opportunity to speak privately with my parents. Vanessa Ta doesn't like me at all. He won't marry me. He's just taking advantage of our family. He won't marry me. He's just taking advantage of our family. Vanessa Ta doesn't like me at all. My dad immediately swung his pipe and hit me. Hannah Phuong, you must have a conscience. If it weren't for the eldest son of the Vanessa family saving our family, would you even be here? One must know how to repay kindness. As long as V. Quoc hasn't said he wants to marry someone else, he is still the son-in-law of this family. I had to remain silent. I needed to earn money. Even though I worked hard all day, after work, I still secretly went up the mountain to chop a load of firewood to bring down to the town to sell. On the way, I encountered Vanessa Ta and Vanessa Ta. Vanessa Ta was holding a bouquet of wildflowers, a mix of flowers and grass. On Vanessa Ta's back was a basket full of wildflowers. He handed the basket to me. When you sell firewood, you can also sell this basket of flowers. Vanessa Ta made this herself. It will definitely sell for a good price. After selling it, buy a few handkerchiefs. I looked at him, speechless. Right now, everyone is still hungry. Who has the time to buy these useless things? I shot him a glare. Vanessa Ta, if you want to sell flowers, then go sell them yourself. Vanessa Ta, if you want to sell flowers, then go sell them yourself. Nephew pouted, unwillingly muttering. But my firewood can be sold too. These two really have it too good and have gone a bit crazy. I scoffed. Then go sell it yourself. The two exchanged glances, unsure of what to say. As I was leaving, I heard Vanessa Ta's voice. Nephew, if you can't sell flowers, I'll make you a little garden. I was taken aback, a thought flashing through my mind, and I hurried my pace. I quietly went home, pulled my dad along, and the two of us secretly hid in a corner, peeking at them. Vanessa Ta was picking wildflowers, arranging them into a circle, letting Nephew wear the flower crown, lying among the blooms. He excitedly spun around. Nephew, you look so beautiful. Don't move. I need to rush home and get some paper and a pen to capture this beautiful moment of yours. He happily ran back, completely unaware that two people were hiding in the grass nearby. I turned to ask my father, Dad, it's clear that Victor Tam loves Vanessa Ta. Do you want me to marry him to repay a debt of gratitude or to create enmity? I thought my father would change his mind upon seeing this scene. To my surprise, he became even more determined for me to marry Victor Tam. That evening, he took out 15 coins and 5 fabric coupons, handing them to Victor Tam. Wegwa, you and Hannah Phuong are no longer children. Tomorrow, I will start building a new house for you two. You should go to the town and register your marriage. By the way, buy 2 sets of clothes to wear on your wedding day. I opened my mouth to speak, but ultimately fell silent, because I had no right to voice my opinion in this house. What surprised me even more was that Victor Tam did not object. He accepted the money and coupons, nodding in agreement. The next day, Victor Tam and I went to the village to ask for a letter of introduction, preparing to head to the town. Before we left, Victor Tam said, Hannah Phuong, you still have a bundle of firewood that hasn't been sold, right? You might as well carry it along. On the day of the marriage registration, my mother told me to change into a new outfit, and he told me to carry firewood. How considerate. Halfway there, I indeed saw Vanessa Ta waiting for us. I said nothing and quietly walked ahead. Upon reaching the town, Victor Tam turned to me. Hannah Phuong, give me the letter of introduction, and I'll take care of the paperwork. You should hurry and sell the firewood. I looked deeply at him and Vanessa Ta, then handed him the letter of introduction. I had carried down a load of firewood weighing 90 kilograms from the mountain. Walking 7 kilometers to the town, my shoulders were rubbed raw and bleeding, just to exchange it for 5 jiao. I took that 5 jiao and walked around the supply store, but couldn't buy anything. Finally, I stopped by the junkyard. Amidst the stench of garbage, I rummaged for a long time before finding what I needed. When I arrived at the meeting point, Victor Tam immediately waved his hand in disgust. Why do you smell so bad? I didn't care, walking over to the ditch beside me to wash my face. At that moment, Vanessa Ta joyfully ran over wearing a white fabric hat. Wait, well look, isn't this hat beautiful? I had to fight to buy it. She then pulled out a pristine white shirt, held it up to herself, and smiled brightly. Today there was a new shipment, and I hurried to buy the last two. Victor Tam looked at her with affection. Beautiful, really beautiful. The money and fabric coupons my father gave him were all used to buy things for Vanessa Ta. I quietly observed, then coldly asked, "Where's the marriage registration? I want to see it." In my previous life, I had also registered my marriage with Victor Tam, but because I couldn't read, he always kept the documents. For 30 years, I had never seen it once. It wasn't until I died that I found out the name on that document wasn't mine. Victor Tam's face looked a bit unnatural. You can't read, so what's the point of holding it? You wouldn't understand anything. I held my head high. That's my marriage registration. Don't I have the right to see it at least once? Victor Tam, angry, pulled the document from his pocket and threw it straight at me. Look, see what a illiterate like you can read. I took the marriage certificate and read each word aloud. Victor Tam, male, 22 years old. Vanessa Ta, female, 21 years old. Voluntarily married. After inspection, complies with the regulations of the marriage law of the People's Republic of China. This certificate is issued. In that moment, Victor Tam and Vanessa Ta turned pale. Vanessa Ta screamed in panic. She can read. In my previous life, I was the wife of a university professor. To be worthy of him, besides doing housework, I worked hard to study. Not only could I read, but I also learned many other things. I laughed coldly, looking straight at Victor Tam. You really are shameless, taking my family's money to buy things for someone else, registering your marriage with someone else, and still wanting to pretend to be my family's son-in-law. Victor Tam, do you really think I'm that easy to fool? Victor Tam's face turned even paler, his forehead dripping with sweat. Before he could speak, Vanessa Ta shouted, "Hannah Phuong, marriage is free now. Don't think you can." Hannah Phuong, marriage is free now. Don't think you can use past favors to force Tam. We won't submit. I looked straight into Victor Tam's eyes, asking each word. Be clear. Who is taking advantage of past favors? Is it my family, the Phuongs, or your family, the Shuns? If you look down on my family, then why are you still in my house? Why are you still spending my family's money? Victor Tam gritted his teeth and finally said, Hannah Phuong, how did you learn to read? I smiled faintly and said slowly, because I, like both of you, have also been reborn. Hearing me say this, Victor Tam breathed a sigh of relief, then reproached. Hannah Phuong, if you've also been reborn, then I don't need to say much more. In my previous life, I gave you a practical marriage that lasted 50 years. You should feel satisfied. In this life, I just want to be with Vanessa Ta. After saying this, he took Vanessa Ta's hand, and the two looked at each other infatuatedly. My heart ached. The grievances and unwillingness from my previous life surged in my chest. I had deceived myself, resigned to being his maid for 50 years, only to receive his kindness in return. I gritted my teeth and raised my hand to slap both of them. You two really disgust me. Victor Tam, D. I gritted my teeth and raised my hand to slap both of them. You two really disgust me. Victor Tam, do you think I really want to marry you and spend my life as your servant? Why don't you say that you've deceived me for 50 years, and even the marriage registration doesn't have my name? If it weren't for my family, the Phuongs, putting in the effort to support you through school, do you think you could have smoothly graduated from university? Vanessa Ta shouted angrily. Enough. Hannah Phuong, if you've also been reborn, you should know that in the future, Tam will be a renowned professor, educating countless generations of students. How can you only think of yourself and not consider his future contributions? I laughed coldly, my heart filled with bitterness. Just because I'm a rural woman, just because I'm small, you two can enjoy the fruits of my labor while trampling on me. Just because I'm a rural woman, just because I'm small, you two can enjoy the fruits of my labor while trampling on my self-respect. Just because I don't have great achievements, I'm supposed to be a stepping stone for both of you for life, to be looked down upon by you. Victor Tam sighed, frowning tightly. All right, Hannah Phuong, if you feel wronged, then from now on, will go our separate ways. I will make it clear to your dad that I will have nothing to do with you anymore. I laughed loudly, decisively replying, "Fine, Victor Tam. I hope you could do what you say." As long as Victor Tam spoke up, my dad would definitely not object. Sometimes I really doubted that if he demanded my life, my dad would agree without hesitation. The way home suddenly felt light. I didn't want to walk the same path as them, so I took a different route. But when I got home, Victor Tam and Vanessa Ta were still there. My parents looked at the marriage registration with joy, tears in their eyes. Great, great. We finally didn't let down Uncle Phuong's instructions. I immediately understood what was happening. Just as I was about to speak, Victor Tam pulled me out of the house. I angrily questioned, "Victor Tam, you think my parents are illiterate, so you can deceive them like this? Has your conscience been eaten by dogs?" Victor Tam sighed helplessly. "Victor Tam, you think my parents are illiterate, so you can deceive them like this? Has your conscience been eaten by dogs? Uncle Phuong has taken care of me for so many years. Facing him, I really can't bring myself to say that I'm married to someone else. Moreover, your dad once saved my family's life. I think as long as I stay in your house for another 2 years, I will definitely make it up to you." I laughed coldly. "Make it up? How do you plan to make it up? The whole village knows I'm married to you. By the time you finish university and return to the city to work, I will become a discarded woman. How do you expect my parents to face the villagers? How do you expect me to live? How do you expect my parents to face the villagers? How do you expect me to live? In this life, you must understand that whether you marry me or not, it won't affect your future. Then why are you still clinging to my family? As for the so-called debt of gratitude, just name your price. I'll buy it outright. I don't want my family to suffer being exploited by you for a lifetime anymore." Victor Tam's face turned extremely ugly. "Hannah Phuong, how can you think of me like this? You're not that kind of person, You are exactly that kind of person." I interrupted him. "If you've married Vanessa Ta, then don't involve yourself with me anymore. If you've married Vanessa Ta, then don't involve yourself with me anymore." Victor Tam seemed to want to say something else, but suddenly his face went pale. My dad was standing behind me, his expression dark. I didn't know how much he had heard, but that night, he sat smoking the whole time. In the end, he decided to let Victor Tam and Vanessa Ta live in the newly built house. He even gave them 20 kilograms of food every month until he went to university. This was considered fulfilling Mr. Tam's last wishes. Before the new house was finished, they would still live with my family. Victor Tam said that before they took the college entrance exam, he didn't want anyone to know he was married. My family agreed. Finally escaping this marriage, I felt incredibly light. I worked even harder to make bricks. During my free time, I took the 2 coins I had painstakingly saved and sought out the carpenter in the village. I asked him to cut some wood for me, and I started making a winnowing fan. In my previous life, aside from doing housework, I loved watching agricultural channels. I was very interested in people who had the talent to improve farming tools. I often searched for those videos, watching them repeatedly, and I even tried making some of the things myself. However, everything I made eventually just became toys for my grandchildren. Now, the knowledge I had learned finally had a chance to be put to use. 3 days later, I carried out the first winnowing fan I had made to the drying yard. The villagers eagerly watched as I poured a 100-kilogram sack of rice into the fan. In no time, the clean rice separated neatly from the chaff and impurities. Everyone was amazed. This winnowing fan could be easily used even by a 10-year-old. The rice no longer flew everywhere, and people were no longer bothered by the chaff dust itching their faces. Compared to the old winnowing fan, the efficiency was much better. The captain excitedly tried it out repeatedly and immediately decided to have me make 20 more for the whole village. They would give me 10 work points a day, and I wouldn't need to spend money on wood. For each completed winnowing fan, I would also receive an extra coin. Upon hearing this news, my parents were so delighted that their faces lit up. Victor Tam stood in the crowd, looking at me with a complicated expression. After that, I continued to improve the rice threshing machine. The new machine made the rice cleaner and required less effort. It only took a little over 10 minutes to finish threshing a sample of rice. The manager was so delighted that he rescheduled the harvest for the production team, just to give me time to improve all the threshing machines in the village. Before long, news spread far and wide, and other production teams came to seek my help in upgrading their machinery. In fact, I wanted to create a long sickle to cut the rice faster, but I didn't have enough time. The harvest season was still ongoing, and the mechanical factory staff had already come to visit. One day, while going to register my marriage, I took a different route and stumbled upon a broken tractor. This tractor had been in use for a long time, almost on the verge of becoming scrap. It had just overturned in the field and was completely unable to start. A group of men had been fussing over it for hours without success, ultimately just holding their heads in disappointment. I pretended to be a technician and spent half a day fixing it. I even utilized some copper wires, screws, and parts one found in the scrapyard. The tractor driver took it to the maintenance factory, inadvertently letting the manager discover the improvements I had made. He immediately assessed me as a rare talent and wanted to invite me to work there. Of course, I still had to go through probation period. I agreed right away. 3 months later, my new house was completed. Thanks to my outstanding performance, I was officially hired as a staff member at the mechanical factory. At this point, Victor Tam and Vanessa Ta came to see me again. He stammered for half a day before saying, "Hannah Phuong, could you give up your job at the factory for Vanessa Ta?" I was taken aback for a moment, then immediately shook my head. Victor Tam hurriedly continued, "Hannah Phuong, could you find a way to talk to the manager? In my previous life, Vanessa Ta studied engineering. She is more suited for this position than you." I asked in surprise, "Aren't you two planning to take the university entrance exam? Why are you aiming for a worker's job like mine?" Vanessa Ta raised her chin and said, "You're a farmer, starting from scratch. Working the fields is nothing difficult for you. But Weigwa and I are intellectuals. Manual labor only wastes our time. We want to contribute to the country. We can't waste these 2 years, so we can work at the factory as workers first, and then take the university entrance exam." After saying this, Victor Tam nodded in agreement, his expression very serious. In his previous life, his major was Chinese education, completely useless at this time. I smiled faintly and said to the two of them, "If you think you're so capable, then go and compete for it yourself. Why try to take my position? You two are esteemed intellectuals. How can you not compare to an illiterate like me?" Victor Tam sighed. "Hannah Phuong, we're like tigers in the plains being bullied by dogs. Can you help us a little? Can you help us a little?" I glanced at him. "No way." "Yes." A voice rang out behind me. It was my dad. He looked at Victor Tam seriously. "Weigwa, I agreed to let Hannah Phuong give up this job for you, but only for you. Consider it our family repaying the favor to the Ishun family." Victor Tam stared at my dad for a moment, then nodded. "Okay, thank you, Uncle Phuong." I immediately jumped in. "Dad, I don't agree." My dad, without saying a word, raised his hand and slapped me. "I've made my decision. You have no right to refuse." In the end, I still worked at the mechanical factory, and I was the one who helped Vanessa Ta get a job there. I gave the manager 2 improved designs for agricultural machines, which allowed me to secure a job for Vanessa Ta. My dad was adamant about giving the job to Victor Tam, but just a month after starting, he transferred it to Vanessa Ta. The manager, out of respect for me, turned a blind eye to it. I told my dad that after handing over the job, I had repaid my upbringing. My father was furious, scolding me for being unfilial. I wiped my tears and said to him, "My dad, you are the one in debt. You used me to repay a debt. I've already paid it back. What more do you want me to do? From now on, I will take charge of my own life." At the mechanical factory, I learned while working. Thanks to the knowledge from my previous life, I personally crafted some useful small tools. Thanks to the knowledge from my previous life, I personally crafted some useful small tools. I immersed myself in my beloved work, and before I knew it, a year had passed. The first time I returned to the village after a year was when I brought back the improved threshing machine. As soon as I arrived, I stumbled upon the wedding of Victor Tam and Vanessa Ta. Their wedding chamber was the very house I had built with my own hands. My father was beaming as he arranged their wedding, as if Victor Tam were his own son. In fact, I had thought in my previous life, why did I wholeheartedly devote myself to the Victor Tam family? Wasn't it because my father constantly reminded me? He always said I was just a useless rural woman, and marrying a college student was a blessing for 3 generations. I had to be grateful. I had to be diligent, obedient, hardworking, and generous. He said that women should be like that. Only when their husband succeeded would they have blessings. He also said that enduring hardship now would lead to blessings later. But in the end, I endured hardship my entire life. Yet I didn't even have the right to stand beside my husband. When Victor Tam saw me return, he looked at me warily afraid I would cause trouble at the wedding. I just smiled and wished them well. I wish you both happiness. You finally get to be together. Then, I curiously asked, Victor Tam, in fact, in my previous life, you could have divorced me early and officially been with Vanessa Ta. Why didn't you two do that? Victor Tam, in fact, in my previous life, you could have divorced me early and officially been with Vanessa Ta. Why didn't you two do that? I wish you both happiness. You finally get to be together. Victor Tam's face stiffened, and he didn't answer. Suddenly, I remembered something. He had brought me to the city just when his grandparents fell ill and had to stay bedridden. His parents were busy with work, and Vanessa Ta had also left the country at that time. I understood then. My greatest utility was taking care of his family, worrying about his parents. Not long after, news of the restoration of the university entrance exam spread. Victor Tam and Vanessa Ta both passed. At the same time, Vanessa Ta discovered she was pregnant. It was said that she and Victor Tam had a huge argument, determined to go to the hospital for an abortion. But the doctor refused, saying that an abortion at this time would be very dangerous for her. The day I returned to the village, I happened to see Victor Tam holding Vanessa Ta tightly, earnestly saying, Vanessa Ta, this is the crystallization of our love. Can you really bear to part with it? You're only a year behind in your studies, but there's a life inside you. I promise you, after entering university, I will make an effort to visit you whenever I can. After you give birth, I'll let my mother take care of the baby, and then you can continue your studies, okay? Vanessa Ta's eyes brimmed with tears as she cried and scolded. I worked so hard to get this score, to enroll in my favorite school and major. And now you're telling me to stay home and have a baby? Victor Tam, I worked so hard to get this score, to enroll in my favorite school and major. And now you're telling me to stay home and have a baby? Victor Tam, you're so selfish. Do you think the university entrance exam is easy? Next year, there will be more candidates, and the exam will be harder. Don't you know that? Victor Tam persisted in persuading. Vanessa Ta, for our future, can't you sacrifice a little? I couldn't help but laugh. In my previous life, he made me sacrifice. In this life, he wanted Vanessa Ta to sacrifice. Vanessa Ta pushed him away forcefully. Why shouldn't you be the one to sacrifice? Why shouldn't you be the one to sacrifice? Just then, the sound of a bicycle bell rang out. The acceptance letters for Victor Tam and Vanessa Ta have arrived. The two hurriedly ran to receive the letters. After opening and reading them, Vanessa Ta immediately put away her acceptance letter. Then, in a flash, snatched Shen Weigu's acceptance letter and tore it into tiny pieces. The postman and I stood by, wide-eyed. Shen Weigua panicked and shouted, Vanessa Ta, what are you doing? Vanessa Ta, what are you doing? Do you know what this is? This is my admission letter. He hurriedly picked up the scraps, but no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't piece it back together. This is my admission letter. He couldn't piece it back together. I stood by, giving a soft whistle. Vanessa Ta, well done. She laughed coldly and said, Victor Tam, if I can't go to college, then you shouldn't either. I decided not to watch this drama any longer. After giving a portion of my savings to my mom, I returned to work at the machinery factory. Later, Victor Tam continued to take the train to school to register. He wanted to take Vanessa Ta with him, but she refused. In the end, he entrusted Vanessa Ta to the Phuong family for care. My dad happily agreed. Before leaving, Victor Tam specifically sought me out. Hannah Phuong, you're in the city. Can you keep an eye on Vanessa Ta for me? Her mental state isn't very stable, and I'm afraid something might happen to her. I coldly refused. This is between the two of you. Don't drag me into it. Victor Tam was dissatisfied. Hannah Phuong, after all, we were married for 50 years. Do you really have to be so heartless? I stared at him, my voice icy. Victor Tam, you yourself said we've been together for 50 years. But at your birthday party, what did you say? You said the person you love most in your life is Vanessa Ta. You treat me like this, and yet you have the face to call me heartless? To you, I'm just a free nanny. And now you want to talk about feelings with me? He lowered his head and quietly walked away. Not long after he left, Vanessa Ta sold her job and disappeared. I don't know who reported it, but Victor Tam returned from school, frantically searching for her. He went back to his hometown and asked around everywhere, but there was no news at all. 3 months later, a child was left at his doorstep. In the blanket wrapped around the baby was a letter containing only a few brief lines. This is your son. Don't look for me anymore. This is your son. Don't look for me anymore. Victor Tam nearly went mad. At that time, His parents had not yet regained their jobs, and he himself was a student without income. He and the child had to rely on my dad to survive. The school warned him that if he continued to be absent, he would be expelled. Helpless, Victor Tam dragged my dad along, holding the baby to find me. As soon as he saw me, my dad smiled brightly. Daughter, Victor Tam's wife has left, and now he needs someone to take care of him. You should go back and help him raise the child. Hearing this, my heart sank. Victor Tam, with a face dotted with stubble, struggled to speak. Anna Phuong, I really have no other choice. After thinking it over, I can only ask you to take care of this baby. You're a woman. You'll know how to raise a child. Please help me, and I will remember this kindness for a lifetime. I laughed coldly and firmly refused. I have my own job, my own career. If you want to raise a child, then go hire a nanny. Both Victor Tam and my dad were stunned. I snatched my dad's pipe and threw it to the ground. I hadn't resisted before, not because I couldn't fight back, but because filial piety had restrained me. My dad angrily shouted, "You're a woman. What career do you have? No matter what, you have to get married, have children, and take care of the family. If you don't raise the boy, who will? Your two brothers have their own families, and your mom and I can't take care of everything. So we have to rely on you. I'm telling you, if you don't listen, I'll come to your factory every day to cause trouble until they fire you." Victor Tam also pleaded, "Hannah Phuong, I beg you, just help me get through this time, and I will repay you in the future. Whatever job you want, I can help you find it." I shook my head. "No, you can't help me, just as I can't help you." I looked at my dad and calmly said, "This is the last time I'll call you Dad. I've repaid my debt of you." I shook my head. "No, you can't help me, just as I can't help you." I looked at my dad and calmly said, "This is the last time I'll call you Dad. I've repaid my debt of upbringing. In the future, when you and my mom are old and weak, I will take care of you both. But for now on, I will no longer listen to you. So, don't come looking for me again." In front of them, I closed the door. At that time, I had been promoted to engineer at the factory, but I still had many principles I didn't understand and had to make use of every second to read and learn. I had no time to worry about these trivial matters. Later, when I returned to the village, I heard that Victor Tam had been expelled from university. He had to stay in the village, raising the child alone, living a very miserable life. Both of my older brothers had their own families, and even though my dad wanted to help him, he had no money. He could only work desperately to earn points. But for a farmer, even a little bit of points wasn't enough to feed two mouths. 3 years later, Vanessa Ta returned, demanding a divorce. She had given birth and then married a man over 20 years older than her. She said that was the true love she had been searching for over 2 lifetimes. Victor Tam naturally disagreed. During the argument, he was pushed into a ditch and broke his leg. Vanessa Ta tried to escape, but was stopped by the villagers. Victor Tam became disabled. Vanessa Ta compensated him a large sum of money, and in the end, they divorced. After that, Victor Tam asked someone to convey to me, "I was wrong. The person I truly love is you. I want to register our marriage and hold an official wedding." I only had the messenger relay one sentence: "Get lost. Get lost." I had broken free from my chains, soaring freely in my own sky, and he wanted to use the name of love to drag me down to hell with him. I despised him. In the end, I understood. For people like Victor Tam and my dad, the best revenge was to no longer listen to them, no longer be controlled by them, but to live my own life.